Left of the box. But it doesn't end here with all the capitulating that our politicians and the media does. And this is why I'm just so exhausted. I'm so fed up with this. And this shouldn't be a thing. I read earlier that tweet from David Eby about the incident in Amsterdam. And David Eby is an NDP premier of BC. So, you have the leadership of the federal NDP, Jagmeet Singh, very milquetoast, very not wanting to upset anyone, so he both sides the situation. But within the federal NDP, there are very outspoken members that call it a genocide, that wear keffiyehs, that go to the protests and stuff. So there are a few within that group that are very good. But when you look at the provincial NDPs, when it comes to what's happening in Gaza, they suck. They're horrible. They're as racist as they come. Prime example here in Ontario, Sarah Jama being kicked out of the NDP caucus because, like I said earlier, she simply called for a ceasefire and referred to Palestinians as humans just a few days after October 7th, which apparently was an egregious act warranting her to be kicked out of the Ontario caucus. It's not just the BC NDP, it's not just the Ontario NDP. It's also the Nova Scotia NDP. Nova Scotia is undergoing an election right now, provincial election, which I will be covering live on my channel November 26th. Be sure to come out and watch the results, although I'm pretty sure I already know the Conservatives are going to win re-election. But here we have Nova Scotia NDP candidate out after criticism of troubling posts about Israel. Let's see how troubling these posts are. An election candidate criticized by the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, that's the CIJA, which is the APAC of Canada, for troubling and damaging social media posts, is no longer running for Nova Scotia's new Democratic Party in the November 26th general election, party say. What this also means is that there is now not an NDP candidate in that riding, because this happened after you could go on the ballot and stuff like that. So now this riding simply doesn't have a candidate from the NDP. In a news release Saturday, the provincial NDP said Tammy Jakeman is no longer the party's candidate in Eastern Passage District, which is south of Halifax. New Democrats are committed to ensuring safety and dignity of all members of the Jewish community in Nova Scotians of all faiths. All faiths except Muslims. Should probably state that. The release said, "We recognize that everyone running for office has a responsibility to ensure their comments do not cause undue harm." The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs issued a news release Friday, which included pictures of two posts by an account bearing Jakeman's name on the X platform formerly known as Twitter. One from November 2023 responds to a World's Children's Day post from Auschwitz Memorial by saying that children in Gaza will die because Israel is obsessed with killing all Hamas, regardless of human expenses. Yeah, that seems pretty factual. In another form, also from 2023, the same Jackman account retweets a post that says, "Apartheid is Israel at its happiest when terrorizing Palestinians." So, attacking the state for committing a genocide. Calling out a state, not a people, a state. And are you saying that Israel, whose leaders said that they want to make Gaza into a parking lot, who have said that the Palestinians are animals, that say they're all terrorists, regardless if they're babies, all deserving our death? Are you trying to argue they're not obsessed with killing all Hamas? Because I guess, yeah, it should be broader. It should be broader. Because it's not just Hamas they're killing. They're killing innocent people. Hundreds of thousands. Northern Gaza is now annexed as the Israel government says that they can no longer go home. Not that there's any homes for them to go to, because it's been leveled. But apparently saying that and retweeting this apartheid Israel is at its happiest when terrorizing Palestinians. Apparently, that's so egregious she had to step down from the NDP party and not be a candidate anymore. As of Saturday afternoon, the account appeared to no longer exist on platform. Jakeman did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, along with the Atlantic Jewish Council, said the statements were inflammatory and hurtful in Friday's release. Statements of this nature often have real-world impacts, contributing to a climate of fear and hostility experienced by Jewish community members, the release said. What about, what kind of climate are the Palestinians facing right now in Gaza? What kind of fear and hostility are they experiencing right now because of the actions of the Israeli state? But again, so much of my frustration is recently that handbook went out, the government handbook on identifying what is anti-Semitism and criticizing the state of Israel they consider to be anti-Semitic. We're not allowed to criticize that state. We're not allowed to compare what they're doing to Nazis, even though they are committing a genocide. Just so much capitulation by the media, by politicians in this country, to Zionists. And worried about the feelings as opposed to the actual death and mayhem and destruction and horror Israel is unleashing on Gaza. The groups called on Provincial NDP leader Claudia Chender to say why Jakeman was allowed to run for the party and to dissociate the party from Jakeman's damaging remarks. NDP spokesperson Elena Cahill said the party was not aware of the post during the candidate's nomination period. Cahill said Jakeman posted an apology for the remarks on X account on Friday, though the Canadian press could not verify the claim. The account appeared to have been removed. The NDP is always reviewing and improving our vetting process to make sure it's rigorous and that all our candidates uphold the values and principles of our party, Cahill said in an email. Jakeman's exit from the party comes after the candidate nomination period closed, so there will be no NDP candidate to take her place in the Eastern Pacific District, Cahill added. It's not clear whether Jakeman will run as an independent. The Nova Scotia Liberal Party also condemned the social media comments. There is no place for anti-Semitism, hate, or discrimination of any kind in our province. We cannot allow the occasion of Holocaust Remembrance Day to be used in a line of attack against Jewish community here in Nova Scotia and across the world, the release said Saturday. Calling out a state for their actions is not discrimination. And the amount of Islamophobia and discrimination against Palestinians that is happening right now, as we saw, a song was sung in Arabic, but oh no, that's discrimination against Muslim people, against people who speak Arabic. Also, lots of Jewish people speak Arabic. There's lots of Arabic Jews out there. Progressive Conservative leader Tim Houston said the NDP was correct to remove someone who holds dangerous and anti-Semitic views. Calling out a state does not make a person anti-Semitic. No matter how you worship in Nova Scotia and all in Canada, you should be able to do so without fear of intimidation, unless, again, you're Muslim or speak Arabic. Houston said in an email statement, the views expressed by Ms. Jakeman fell far short of that ideal. This report was from the Canadian press. Just so sick of this double standard, so sick of the capitulation to Zionists, to a genocidal state that this country is doing, that the media is doing, when there are people suffering and dying horrific deaths. Everyone in Gaza is traumatized who is still alive. A lot of them risk dying of starvation in the near future, of one of many ways that they could potentially die in the near future. They're being kidnapped, they're being tortured. All of that never gets acknowledged. But somebody calling out that state for doing those things, well, they need to be held accountable as an anti-Semite for doing that. I have a hard time wrapping my brain around all of this. How this is so rampant here. And again, it's not like I should. It's not like I should. This, I should be able to be like, yep, no, it makes sense. It makes sense because Canada is a genocidal state, and Canada was built on multiple genocides and all that sort of stuff. But I still seeing it playing out in real time, seeing the footage of what's happening to the people in Gaza and the horrors being inflicted on them. Seeing it firsthand like this, I have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that anyone can know that's happening over there and still somehow paint Israel as being the good guys in this situation, or that they're even the victims in this situation. That somehow, they have a right to defend themselves, and that right includes committing genocide. Like, I shouldn't be so distraught over this, like coming to terms with the fact that Canada would support this to this extent. But seeing it in real time, how can anyone support that? It's horrifying.